We got zoned! Oh, fuck. Don't make sound. The Mech's outside. Oh my god, the Mech spawn. Oh no! Oh, launch! I launched! What are the odds? The Mechs! Why the fuck are they a fucking thing, dude? Like, dude, we were kidding. We were both so kidding.
Make sense. There's no rewarding part of this thing, dude. I can't find anyone that likes these. When you use them, they feel terrible, bro. Like, it's making my blood boil, dude. There's no actual reasoning behind this, bro. I'm not playing anymore, bro. I'm off this game. I'm sorry, Tim. I'm not playing anymore today. I'm off this game, bro.
It's all right. I get it.
I love this game so much. I'm off this game. I can't play it.
Many a days were spent with a similar reaction in my household, your household, and as we know, a lot of the top pros as well. Except Crows, let's be real, he loved them.
Getting Mechs! The Mech's tarping in! He's tarping it in!
But what if Season X never had Mechs? And what impact would that have onto the game, the season, and the overall pro community? Let's dive into that. The Mech was one of the most devastating forces that Fortnite has ever seen for pubs, for arena, and absolutely for competitive. But its impact was interesting in a few ways. The Fortnite World Cup had just ended in Season 9, the previous season, and in fact Season X was actually teased at the World Cup, and all of the hype was there. You've got to remember, at that moment, the Fortnite World Cup was a $30 million prize pool. Generally, the community was very happy about the directions in which the game was going and just wanted to know what was next. And unfortunately, the Mechs were next. From day one, these things terrorized Arena, and everybody could tell what a disaster this was going to be for the entire season. Quick reminder of how they worked if you forgot. It was a 2-player vehicle, 1-person drive who would stomp and it would do 70 damage, basically indestructible vehicle. The other person would get into the passenger's seat, they would shoot rockets that charge up, and a basically minigun in the other hand. It was undefeatable. Now the implementation of the Mech, or the B.R.U.T.E as it was called in game, basically ruined any of the hype that was built up during the World Cup. You've got to think from Epic's point of view that they've spent a ton of money on the World Cup, on its advertising, on the prize pools and all of that, yet just to kind of ruin that in the next season where that hype was at an all-time low, to the point that hashtag remove the Mechs became trending. The implementation of this, I feel, had a real negative impact on any new viewers who were coming in from the World Cup that they'd seen. Maybe the Mech was an attempt to grab their attention and give them that win in pubs, but the frustration and implementation into arena and competitive mode just was not the play. Had these Mechs not been implemented in Season X, that momentum could have carried on from the World Cup instead of just dying flat in Season X. I genuinely can't remember another period where the general interest in Fortnite competitive was as low as in Season X, and that should not have been the case given World Cup had just happened the season before that. Had these Mechs not been in, sure, it still wouldn't have been the most competitive season given some of the rift zones that were around. There was some wacky stuff in there too. You know, I love crouching and turning into a toilet as much as the next guy, but come on. But at the end of the day, that momentum could have been carried on throughout the entire of the season and then into Chapter 2 as well. In the current season, Season 7, Epic have done a fantastic job of splitting out these kind of wacky things into the pubs and keeping the arena and competitive free. So they've made some really good progress, in particular over the last few seasons, to ensure that stuff like this does not happen. But all was not lost. There was a savior for the season. That was the streams of Benji Fishy and Mongraal, alongside Mitro in their team. MMB was dominating.
I just listened to you. So
oh, the zone is gonna be here. 50-50 is here. I marked it already before. What do you mean? I'm not even trolling. No, I'm not trolling.
Stop jumping! Mitro just wants to get.
Keep motor. Keep motor.
Oh
my god, what are you doing? What are you editing?
Like, what are you doing?
Oh, you edited. You almost killed me. I'm
You done that one. No, I just stop peeking.
Look at motor. Look at motor.
I think a lot of people forget, including me, how just insane their placements were across the FNCS qualifiers. They placed second, first, second, first, first, and then also won their heat as well. But what does this have to do with the mechs? Well, remember back to that time, Retail Row was absolutely insane with loot, having zombies in there. You could consistently just break down and have the most unbelievable amount of launch pads. You'd have a Storm Scout sniper. You would have the best loot in the game without a doubt. So come the finals, Fremont, Kiriachi, and Kong took advantage of the fact that MMB were there and pushed them with the mech repeatedly. In game number 4, they also did a flank play with the mech, where Kiriachi intentionally took a ton of the fire in a mech and flanked all the way around, while Kong and Fremont just sprayed and picked up the eliminations. It was quite beautiful, to be honest with you. Now, had the mech not been in, I would put good money on to bet that MMB would win FNCS in Season X. Despite having a mech push them every single game, they still managed to come 10th, which was incredibly impressive. Given their crazy consistency in the qualifiers and in the heats, it may be a push to say that they would 100% win, but they definitely would have been either first or second. But it wasn't only the competitive community that hated these. Basically, everyone disliked this, to the fact that, like I already mentioned, hashtag remove the mech was trending on Twitter. Finally, casuals and competitive fan bases joined in unity to hate one thing more than they've hated anything before. This also led a lot of content creators who were more on the casual side of things, who were dipping their toes into competitive, to completely get out. Obviously, Courage, more of a casual player, but being a caster at the time, super unbelievably frustrated with the game, and it was very understandable. This was probably the straw that broke the camel's back for a lot of people, and this was really when you started to see a lot of the decline in some of the bigger content creators of the game. One by one, they all showed their true distaste for these, and one of the things that actually hit me the hardest was listening to Courage JD in his rant say how much he loved the game and how frustrating it was at that time. This was really relatable because that's exactly how I felt. I loved the game, I loved the storylines in terms of competition, and I was really just getting deep dived into it at that point. And just to see some of the frustrations when I played it for myself and from the community was extremely frustrating to go through. This led to a lot of these content creators leaving the game and inevitably not coming back. Now, I think this was going to be a natural progression for a lot of these people anyway, due to the fact that the skill gap was ever increasing, and this basically made the game not as fun for more casual skilled players, and for players who were in the competitive scene but were falling behind. But the mechs definitely accelerated this. But don't worry, there's a counter being put into the game. It will solve all of the problems. The Junk Rift. Never have I seen a counter so good, something that would balance the equilibrium of the meta so quickly. All you do is throw the Junk Rift, just throw it straight at the mech and it'll one-hit it easily. However, the mechs don't stand still. They don't stand still, so this doesn't work. Someone throws a Junk Rift at you, you just move. All that happened with this counter, quote unquote, the only thing that happened with this is this just got thrown at people's boxes in end games and just completely demolished a huge amount of builds and players boxed up, as this would instantly kill them. Not only could you crouch in Paradise Palms to turn into a toilet, you could now be crushed by one in an end game with absolutely no warning.
God. This is
I'm about
so
to do
bad.
something. Oh shit.
I'm going to try something.
Turn aside, turn aside, turn aside.
Yeah, I have no mats. I'm
And
literally
you
hard
died.
grieving. I'm
You
getting
died
killed
to a
right
toilet.
now.
I died in the toilet. This game is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I killed like 10 people with my fucking
You just
toilet.
killed so many people,
Oh my
Tom.
god.
I think without the implementation of the mechs, this item probably would not have been put into the game. I'm not 100% certain on that, because maybe it would have been put in early, but it seemed like this was put in, given it was put in one patch later than the mech, as a calculated counter to it, so that there was some form of counterplay. Obviously, like I mentioned, it didn't end up being a counter in any way, so I also feel like this would have not been in the meta if the mechs had not been in. Therefore, that would be two of the very frustrating things of this season which would have been eliminated. That really would have left a couple of frustrating map changes, in particular including Tilted Town, where you couldn't build, Paradise Palms, I've already mentioned, that you could crouch on and turn into a toilet, the Retail Row, which had zombies and the most overpowered loot, I think, in any POI of history that we've ever seen, and Storm Flips, which were luckily removed at one point because these were really, really bad as well. Honestly, I feel like if the mechs and the Junkriff were taken out, the season definitely could have had a lot more potential in terms of just general enjoyment. However, when playing FNCS and tournaments, there was nothing but frustrations. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned a lot. Peace.